Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Linda. I have some fun crafts for you today. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. For today's video, we'll be working on some Patriotic Americana dupes from antiquefarmhouse.com. Let's get started with project number one. Let's take a look at our inspirational photo. This is a two-tone Americana mini pillow coming in at a size of 6 by 6, one pillow at $24. Let's see if we can do better than that. So for this project, these are the two fabrics I'll be using. The one on the right is from Walmart. The one on the left is from Joann's. I just freehanded a heart pattern, fold a piece of paper in half, draw half of it, cut it out, and when you open it up, ta-da! You have a full heart. So whatever size you want, but my heart came in at a 9 by 9 size. Theirs was a 6 by 6 if you remember. So when you cut your fabric out, you're actually cutting out a half of a heart on each fabric, and you want two for each color. Now when I cut this out, I'm actually going to increase my width down the center of my heart about a half an inch. You don't have to, but if you don't do that, when you go to attach your hearts together, your heart is probably going to be about a half inch smaller than the 9 by 9 size. Not a big deal. Okay, so I'm cutting my two fabrics out for each color of heart, half heart. Does that make sense? And see how I'm just about a half inch bigger down that center, half inch wider, I should say, down that center. That way, when I go to attach my right sides together of each heart, when I go to sew or glue down that center line strip, I've got a half inch here of fabric. And then that way, when I open it up, I've got a 9 by 9 size. Does that make sense? All right, so you glue or sew down each side. I've sewn off camera, and now I'm just going to iron down my seam so it's nice and flat here. And then I open it up. I've got two 9-inch hearts. If you didn't, like I said, do that, add that extra little half-inch width, your heart will just maybe be like 8.5 inches wide. Not a big deal. All right, now I've decided I want to add a little batting to my heart pieces. I'm going to cut two out the size of my heart because I want this pillow to look like I just simply cut the fabric from an already made quilt and sewed it together. If you use batting, and you're a gluer, you want to go ahead and glue your batting to each side of your heart. If you're a sewer, just lay your batting on each side of your heart. Put your hearts together. Okay, everything together. If you're a gluer, you're going to glue between the two pieces, batting or no batting, all the way around your outer perimeter of that heart and leave a little opening here for stuffing. If you're a sewer, you're going to sew all the way around, leaving that opening for stuffing. I'm going to do that off camera. Here is my heart, trying to find where I left the opening there on the right side. For stuffing, it's already sewn, ready to go. Now what I want to do is I'm just ripping some muslin material, adding a piece of batting to the center because I want to make a cute little tag for the heart. They had a cute little tag that said USA, right? So if you don't want to use batting in the center, you just need one piece of ripped fabric, but I, of course, want to use batting. So if you do that, you glue it all together or sew it together like I did here off camera. And of course, we're going to lindify all our dupes, so I'm going to add in some rusty wire here and a rusty star, and then just a little bulb. They call them bulb, B-U-L-B, like light bulb safety pin. I'm going to bring in my clickable stamps here. I believe there said USA. I'm going to spell out the word freedom with some VersaFine ink here. And I'm going to stamp that word freedom in the center of my tag. I will have links to the rusty wire, the star, and the clickable stamps in my description box. Now I'm using Distress Oxide Ink Vintage Photo, and I'm just adding a little bit of distressing around the word to give it a little bit of halo, leaving the center clean without any ink so that that freedom word kind of pops out, right? And now I'm just taking that rusty wire and I'm curling it around a paintbrush handle, give it some curly cues. And then I made just a little loop in the center there so we can actually loop it onto our safety pin. And then what you need to do next, all that set aside, ready to go ahead and stuff your heart and either glue or sew it closed when it's done. Here's mine ready to go. Now, since I distressed my tag, my heart fabric looks a little bit too clean. So I'm just coming in with that same Distress Oxide Ink and Vintage Photo, and I'm just kind of dirtying up my little heart pillow just a little bit. Take the whiteness out of the stars, grungy them up just a little bit. I do that front and back. You can do that as much as you want or not at all. Now I'm going to take a little crochet trim. I'm just going to make a simple bow by tying a little knot in the center, cut off the amount I want. That bow is done. And then I'm going to start layering all my pieces together here. So I'm going to take my safety pin, add the star, add our little bow, if you want to call it that, add the little wire on the back through the little loop we made, and then through the tag, and then I'm just going to pin it to the pillow. Real simple. It was quick and easy to make. I think it turned out super cute and had a little bit more something something than the one from Antique Farmhouse. Let's take a look at the comparison. So their 6x6 pillow came in at $24. Our 9x9 pillow came in at $1.50 with a savings of $22.50. What do you think? Let's move on to project or dupe number 2. For this dupe, this is a set of 3 flag pillows. They're mini flag pillows. They were like 3.5 by 5. I'm just going to make one, but the price at the end will reflect it if I would have made 3. Our flag pillow is going to be a 5 by 8 size, so twice the size. I'm using this fabric from Joann's and this fabric from Walmart. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip some 1-inch strips for the flag or the stripe portion on our flag. So I'm going to rip the length and the width, or the length that I need. The width is 1 inch. Rip 3 of them, and then I'm only going to do 3 stripes, and then the stripe on the top, I'll just rip it a little bit shorter to make room for the star area on the left-hand side. And I'm just ripping everything so nothing has to be straight or neat. Plus it gives it kind of that, fun rustic kind of farmhouse look. All right, so I've got my star ripped. It's about a 2x3 size, and now I'm just ripping 2 pieces of that muslin material and using a piece of batting in the center, just like we did on the heart pillow. So if you don't want like a padded tag, because they have a tag on their little flag pillows, then of course you just need 1 piece of fabric ripped. But if you want to sandwich it like I'm doing, 2 pieces of fabric and then a piece of batting in the center. And then once that's all cut and or ripped, I'm now cutting 2 pieces of batting for the center of our flag pillow. Again, I want it to look like I just took a quilt and cut it and sewed it or glued it together for our flag. Now I'm placing my flags, the stripes, in the way I want them to be. If you're a gluer, you can glue those on and then glue your star fabric in the upper left portion area of your flag. I'm going to sew all of those on, of course, off camera, and then I'm going to sew my tag together. Of course, if you're a gluer, you glue your tag together. So here's what my flag looks like all sewn. You can't see around the stripes, but I went all the way around the perimeter of the stripes. And now we're going to assemble our pieces together. So if you're a gluer and you added batting, you want to glue your batting pieces to each side, your front and back of your flag separately, and then put your flag together. And then in between the layers, you want to glue around the perimeter and glue your flag closed, but leave an opening for stuffing. Of course, here mine is sewed. I did a double stitching around it because I double stitched around the star portion and the tag, and I wanted it to kind of, all look like it went together. Here's my opening for stuffing. I'm going to go ahead and stuff all that, and then once you do that, you sew or glue your opening closed. My flag's all stuffed. It's cute. Now I'm going to come in just like on the heart pillow. It's the same routine here. I'm, inking around the little tag here. I'm going to ink on the pillow as well, kind of grungy up those white areas, a little bit in the star area. Don't forget the back side. You all know I like to finish off the back, and we'll just lindify it up a little bit. You're going to be amazed, even with the added extra little touches and added extra little pieces that we add to our flag, it still comes in insanely inexpensive. I'm using the clickable stamps again. I'm spelling this time the word Liberty, stamping it onto the tag here. All right, I'm going to again use a little piece of crochet trim with a knot tied in the center, a little red bell. You can see it laying over to the right. And I have about a 1-inch strip of muslin material I ripped. I just kind of decided how long I wanted it to be. It's probably about 8 inches long. And I'm taking those clickable stamps with the word USA, and I'm just spacing it out and stamping it along that strip, USA, all the way down. All right, and then I'm just inking around the edges so it matches the rest of my inking on the rest of the project. Let me say that again. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot in the center so it matches the little crochet bow with a knot in the center, if you want to call it a bow. Making sure that my USA is upright, twisting it if I need to. And then I'm layering everything together so that you can see the USA on there. So I'm going to put my bell on first, then through the crochet tag. The crochet bow, it's kind of downward, and the USA is upward, so you kind of see them both, and then pinning it to that tag. And then I'm going to pin that tag to the upper right top of our pillow. And our cute 5x8 little pillow is complete. Let's take a look at the comparison photo. So their 3.5 by 5 pillow actually came in a set of 3 at $34. If you divided that out, one would come to $11.33 or so. Let's just say $11. Our price, had we made a set of 3, would be at $4.50. Dividing that out would be $1.50 for each pillow, for out-of-pocket savings for a set of 3 at $29.50. What do you think? Let's move on to our last project, or dupe number 3. Now this dupe is a set of 3 Americana tea towels coming in at $58. We will make a set of 3. However, the first towel I'm going to show you, towel number 1 here, start to finish, how to finish off and make the base of the towel pretty. On the other 2 towels, I'm going to do those off camera because it's all kind of the same thing. But the ruffle portion of each towel, I want to be able to show you different options of how to make a ruffle. So we'll explore each of those options with each towel. So for our towels here, this is just a regular fabric I found at Walmart. It's not a towel fabric or anything. It's 19 inches wide, 25 inches tall. For you gluers, one side at a time, you need to fold it down about a 1/2 inch and glue that all the way down. Again, one side at a time. Once that's glued down, you're going to turn it again another 1/2 inch and glue it down. And then you're going to do that to each side all the way around. Okay, here's the way I like to do it because it holds a little better. I like to start on the short sides and I fold down a 1/2 inch and I iron it down. All right, and then for you that are gluers, you don't have to glue this part down. Then you fold it down again, iron that down, and then you can glue that part down. So you're only gluing once because since you ironed it down, it helps hold it into position. You don't have to glue it twice. So I do both short ends. I've done that off camera. I've sewn both short ends, and now I come to the long ends and I do the same procedure on both sides. All right, I just kind of wanted to show you how I do that, you know, maybe suggest a little bit easier way to make your middle center portion of your towel look pretty. Now for the ruffle, I have ripped my fabric. It is 6 inches tall. I'm just going to rip all my ruffle pieces for all my towels because it gives it a nice farmhouse look. So 6 inches tall, and the length is going to be 2 times the length of the short side of your finished towel. So that's what I'm doing now, is just ripping both of my pieces because I just ripped them the length of the fabric that it was originally. So now I've got to, you know, make it the right length, right? So for this particular ruffle, we're going to do some hand stitching with needle and thread. So whether you're a gluer or sewer, if you want to make a ruffle on the long side of our fabric here on both of these, needle and thread on this one. I'm going to come at 1.5 inches down on the long side, one side of our fabric. I'm going to start from the back, poke my needle through to the front, and I'm going to start pleating my fabric onto the needle, as many pleats as I can get onto that needle, and then pull my needle through. Now, if you need this instruction to be slowed down for you, the link to my blog will be in the description box. There will be a video there how to do basic sewing stitches, and at the end of that video is how to do this gathering stitch. So you're going to complete this process all the way down one side of each strip of fabric here. Okay? This is going to give us a series of not so pretty stitches, but it doesn't matter. We're going to cover it up. All right, I'm going to finish this off camera. Here it is done. I've got my needle still attached. Here's what it looks like. See, it's not pretty, but about 1.5 inches down. And then while you're holding your needle and thread in one hand, your opposite hand is pulling that fabric down that thread to make a gather. And you're just going to kind of, you know, back and forth, move your gathers along that thread till you get this to be the length of the short end of your towel. Once you've got that length, the side that your needle and thread is on, you need to go ahead and knot that off so that your gathering stitch doesn't come out. Otherwise, your fabric's just going to come back straight again because it's going to loosen onto that thread. All right, and then what you do, I'm coming about 1.5 inches up from the end of that towel. You can hand sew that on, you can glue it on, or you can take your sewing machine and you can stitch it on. I'm going to stitch it on off camera. Here it is done. Again, it's not pretty, but we're going to cover that up. We're lindifying these towels, right? You could use like a crochet trim here, like from Dollar Tree, but I thought it would be fun to take some of that muslin. I ripped about a 1-inch strip, and then of course I'm going to cut it to the length I need. I will pull on the threads on each end I cut, but I'm going to cut it to the length I need on that towel, and then I'm going to use that USA stamp just like we did on that flag pillow, and I'm going to stamp USA all the way down each strip, just on one side only. Bella's going to come help us. I'm going to stamp that all the way down. Just spacing it, eyeballing it all the way down. There's one done. I'm going to do the other one done. I'm going to try to work around Bella and show you here. So, you know, she's cute, so I know you'll forgive her for being in our way. Got one done. I'm going to come down and do the other strip here. Again, all the way down. I think this is just going to give us a little something, something. All of the towels they did from antiquefarmhouse.com, while they did different fabrics and stuff like that, and different color, like they did true red and white, red and blue. Then they did like a burgundy and a off-color blue, country blue, that kind of thing. And we'll be doing that with our towels. I still wanted to add a little something extra. So I've got that done. And then if you're a gluer and you do this option, you can go ahead and just glue that over where you stitch that ruffle onto the towel. Or you can do as I did. I sewed it off camera. I went top of the strip and bottom of the strip. And no, it's not straight, but I think that's the cute country look of it. Now, I know you're worrying about this ink. Can I wash it? So this VersaFine ink here, I'm going to freeze it for you. You can look for it on Amazon or whatever. On the back, it says it resists water. So you can wash this towel, although I haven't done it yet. It resists water because it even talks about how you can use this with watercolor paints and stuff like that. So, you know, if that's going to be all watery, this ink isn't going to come out. So it resists water. You can wash it. Let's go on to towel number 2. So for this towel, I wanted to look at a different option for some fabric. This is actually a tablecloth I picked up at a local store on clearance. It was like $22 down to $8, basically about 2.5 yards for $8 and some change. So it made it a couple dollars a yard. And I liked it because it was a really pretty linen fabric, and I thought it would give a really nice neutral color. So obviously there's a different source you can look for fabric. As I stated earlier, I'm going to go ahead and finish off the main towel portion of this. This is already finished off, but I did start out with the same length and width of the other towel in the fabric, which was 19 by 25 inches. For the ruffle of this fabric, this is muslin fabric. It's 5 inches tall, and I've ripped it to the length of the short end of the towel plus 10 inches. And yes, I had to do a couple of trial and error pieces to figure out the length to be able to tell you. So I have one done here already. Now this particular one has to be done on a sewing machine, and if you've not done a gathering stitch on a sewing machine, it's really, really easy. I again did it like the last ruffle at 1.5 inches down. All right, I'm going to show you here on the machine. So my machine, when I turn it on, is set at a 2.5 inch stitch. You have to go to your highest stitch. Mine went to a 5, so that's what I set it on. You also have to adjust your tension. Mine is normally set at about 4.5. I'm going to adjust it to 5. Nice and easy. Now, before you put your fabric underneath the foot, pull out a nice length of thread and then insert your fabric. Of course, I'm going, like I said, 1.5 inches down, and I'm just going to start sewing. You're already going to start to see it gather. There it is a little bit, and I'm just going to continue to sew that all the way down my fabric. I'll pull it up again, let you see what it looks like as I get a little bit further down here. I want to show you this whole process. It's so quick and easy. I love it. There it is. Now, why it has to go up to the highest length and their tension up a little bit, I don't know. Whoever figured it out, thank you, but this was nice and easy. I'm going with it. Once it's done, make sure you pull again out a nice length of thread there. Okay, now here it is all done and ready, but we've got to gather it a little bit more. If you want, you can go ahead and knot off your left side, but I wanted to kind of gather it from the right and left. And I noticed when I gathered, it was the top thread that did the pulling. As you held your thread in one hand and your fabric in the other hand, and you're gathering it up, the top thread was the one that kind of gathered it, if that makes any sense. Once you get it where you want, you can knot off the left and right side. Gluers, if you like this neutral towel design, you of course can do the ruffle just like we did in project number 1. Now I've got my ruffle pinned on here. I'm going to add some crochet trim on both sides, and I'm going to just kind of sew it at the same time. I think it looks really cute this way, and it's easier to sew it at the same time. Here it is done front and back, but this is a neutral towel, but I wanted to have a little color for 4th of July, so I've got some fabric I've ripped here, 4x4 square. I've ripped 2 pieces, and then I have a free printable here. We've used this design in the last couple of projects we've done. The link to my blog will be there with this printable, and I've printed this onto fabric with my inkjet printer. That video will be in the same blog post as well if you don't know how to do this. I'm ripping it off my paper now and then just kind of pulling around the edges to fray that. And this fabric is kind of flimsy, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut a piece of batting here to fit the inside. It will kind of stiffen out this little tag portion here. And then I'll just add this to the front of this, and then I'll sew around the outer perimeter of the tag and then the inner perimeter of the tag. Here it is already done. Now this printable, when you print it onto fabric, it is not permanent, okay? So I'm going to attach it with just a safety pin. So when I go to wash this towel, I can just remove this portion of, design element from the towel and wash the towel as a whole. All right, so here's towel number 2 done, looking really cute. Let's move on to towel number 3. Now this fabric I got at Hobby Lobby. It's something called linen towel fabric. It is a little expensive. I got it on sale 40% off at $7.99 a yard. But I love the linen look of it, almost like a tea towel. You could just use a tea towel. You could use a tea towel on any of these already made. Dollar Tree has tea towels. You don't even have to mess with fabric. But what I like about it is all we have to do is make pretty the short end. The sides are already finished off. Now this is a little bit of a wider width towel at 22 inches. But I cut the length to 25 inches. All right, here's my edges all finished and sewn off. Now for our trim, our ruffle trim here, we're going to do what we call some people call it a box pleat trim, which is what I call it. Some people just call it a pleated trim. All right, the tallness of my ruffle is 5.5 inches. The length I need is twice the length of the short end of your towel, because if you don't use this, yours is probably going to be different. Twice the length of the short end of your towel. Let's start making our box pleat trim. I've slowed this down quite a bit. If you already know how to do these or experience, you can kind of skip forward to see how we decorate, okay? This is really easy, okay? So I'm going to come about 2 inches in from the left edge of my fabric. I like to start on the left, and I'm just going to make a fold. We just made our first pleat, okay? Whether you're gluer or sewer, gluer is probably easier if you just pin it down. All right, now I'm going to use the ruler again. I'm going to come about 2 inches across, grab our fabric, and make another fold. You just made another pleat, all right? Now your actual fold of your fabric is about 1 inch, if that's understandable. So go ahead and pin that in, and then I'm going to show you something else we need here for a minute. You need to find the center of your fabric, okay? I'm going to mark that. All right, now we're going to come back to our fold, all right? Because what we're going to do in the center is we're going to make one big pleat. And of course, I'll show you when I get there. Now I'm just eyeballing it. I came about 2 inches across and I made a fold and I'm pinning it down. There's another pleat. I'm going to do it again. 2 inches across, grab the fabric, make a fold, pin it down. We're going to do 5 here. That was 4. 2 inches across, grab your fabric, make a fold, pin it down. It's going to be different if you depending on the length of your fabric. Now we're going to make a pleat in the center here. You could do your ruffles all the way across, all right, if you want, in one direction. I want to make my ruffles come in toward each other, different on either side. That's how it is in the picture, so that's what I'm showing you. We want to make a center ruffle, all right, in order to do this. So to make the center pleat, you're going to grab your fabric about 4 inches away from your last pleat. Remember, we've been doing it about 2 inches away. We want to grab it about 4 inches away. Let's do it again. Grab it 4 inches away toward your left and pin it. Now, your space between that pleat and your last pleat you made is about 1/2 inch. All right, now we have to look at the pleat we just made. The edge of that pleat is about 1 inch away from the center of our fabric. So we want to go about 1 inch away from that. Now we're back to that 2-inch spacing again, remember? And we're just going to do it like we did the whole left side. We're going to take that and grab it and make a fold. Perfect. And we're going to pin it. All right? Got that here. Now we have this nice center pleat. Now we're going to start pleating from the right side to the left. We're going to make them go this direction. We want to make that first pleat. So 2 inches away, you're going to grab that fabric and you're going to fold it toward the left side and make sure your spacing is about 1/2 inch away so it matches nicely with what's on the left side. And then you're going to pin it. And then we're going to do this whole side the same way we did the right side. 2 inches away, we're going to grab our fabric, but we're going to fold it to the left. So our pleat is facing left. All right? 2 inches away, grab it, fold it to the left, pin it. Our pleat is facing left. And let's try to do the same amount of pleats as we did the left side. So I'm on pleat number 4. I'm grabbing my fabric. I'm folding it to the left. I'm pinning it. I've got one more to go. And I'm going to try to make this pleat about the same distance from the edge as the left side, just for, pretties. I'm going to pin it. As you can see, I have excess fabric here. I'm just going to turn this and I'm going to make a little slit in that ruffle trim fabric and I'm going to rip it off. perfect. So those of you who are sewers, you can sew it across, but gluers, you have to assemble this a little bit different. What you need to do, either fabric glue or hot glues, you need to glue down your pleats first. Get those into position. I'm going to unpin it here, show you. Glue down that pleat, and then I'll just kind of pin it back in. You can do this to each one. You could unpin, glue your pleat down, and pin it back together so everything stays in position until you got all your pleats done, and then you can remove your pin and glue it behind. All right? I'm going to put mine back in because I haven't sewed it down yet. So you're removing your pin, gluing it behind, and you'll do that process all the way across until that whole trim is attached to the bottom of that towel, and you're going to do this whole process on the other side. Now, I just want to show you a quick option. I like my pleats to look crisp, so I'm just taking my little mini iron and I'm ironing them down. This is optional, but you can do this if you want. It just kind of helps set them in place and makes them stay nice. Now, I've sewed that on. Now, I've taken a 1-inch strip of coordinating red fabric. It's about a 1-inch strip, and I will, of course, rip it to the length I need. You can glue or sew it on. I'm going to sew it on here, and by the magic of video editing, here it is done. You can see I've sewed top and bottom of that strip. You could leave it like this, but I thought I'm going to add a cute little detail to it. So I took another long strip, probably 14, 15 inches, sewed top and bottom so it matches, and I'm just going to tie it into a bow. Now, normally I would glue or sew this bow on, but at this point, I'm just not sure where I want it yet. So just pretend I've glued or sewed it on, and I have this little wood star. These came from craftingwithkimber.com. I'll have a link down below for it. I've painted it just white chalk paint and distressed it, and I'm punching a hole with my crocodile, and I'm just going to attach this with the safety pin to the center of that bow, and that makes towel number 3 complete. Let's take a look at price comparison. So the set of 3 towels from antiquefarmhouse.com came in at $58 for a set of 3. Ours came in at $13 for a set of 3 because that last fabric from Hobby Lobby was a little bit expensive, but it was still a savings of $45. What do you think? So I hope you enjoyed all of these projects. Dupes from antiquefarmhouse.com. I love Antique Farmhouse. A little bit on the expensive side, so sometimes I like to try and dupe, lindify them up, and let's see what we can come up with. Leave me a comment down below and let me know which project was your favorite that you would love to try and recreate. Please give this video a thumbs up. And if you walked in here for the first time, you're just checking things out, you're digging what you saw, make sure before you click off, you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on another project from me. Now, before I go, I'm going to leave you with one final thought. When you are tempted to give up during a tough trial, remember those around you that have endured, hoping God would carry them through, and you saw that He did. You saw the tangible evidence that Jesus showed up, rolled up His sleeves, and made a way where there seemed to be no way. He will always be there to work all things out according to His purpose, whether it be quickly with a miracle or at the 9th hour, proclaiming it is finished, protecting you at His cost, giving you His hope in your future. Jesus has His eye on the sparrow, and He is willing and able to carry you through. Maybe at this point in your life, the road has been long. It feels like the enemy is closing in on all sides, and you've been asking for help for a while now. Stand tall and focus your heart on this. God has your back. He will lead you from the front, and He will lean in to hold you on both sides simultaneously, all the while using His mighty sword to cut and thrust at the enemy in both directions. God will never let you fall. The enemy may try and push you over the edge, but in the Bible, the book of Psalms, chapter 121 and verse 3, it clearly states, God will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. And in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 3, it says, but the Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one. Even though you may be walking through a dark valley, it can be tough when the pain is real, and you've been pushing through it for quite a while. But keep moving forward. Keep trusting that God can do all things with His strength and power. Fear no evil, because God is with you. He will guide you along the right paths, and He will comfort you in all things and in all ways. In Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 4, God says, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He. I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." In Psalms chapter 23, the first half of verse 6, God speaks that His goodness and love will follow you all the days of your life. So no matter how long you've been facing this trial, don't give in, don't give up, and keep pressing forward. God promises He will keep you from all harm. Psalms 121 and verse 7. Do not under any circumstance let the enemy have the win, no matter how long it takes to get through this. Let your faith rest in God as you lift your eyes to the mountains. Because where does your help come from? It comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Psalms 121 verses 1 and 2. He is your God. He will strengthen you and help you. He will uphold you with His righteous right hand. Isaiah 41 and verse 10. And you will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalms 23, the last half of verse 6. I thank you for sharing your time with me, and I'll talk with you again soon. Bye.